There you are.
Okay, let me just
Yep.
start the live streaming. It just takes a minute.
Yeah.
Sharon, I'm just on my phone.
Okay.
When I use digital, my microphone for some reason doesn't work, so I figure it's more important to have verbal than just visual. So I'm here by phone.
Sure, absolutely. I told everybody I was a minute or so late because I couldn't figure out why my camera didn't work, and that's because I didn't have it plugged in. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello there.
You plug it in, it works. Well, I have to switch one PC over to the other. I only have one good microphone and camera, so. Well, you tell me when we're ready, Alice.
All right, we're all good.
Give everybody some time. Okay, so we're live streaming. Allison is the co-host. We're recording. That's what the dots look like to me. So I think our technology is thumbs up.
Yep, all set.
All right. Well, I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Brookfield Inland Wetlands. Today is Monday, just to check, the 27th of April, 2020. My name is Sharon Fox. I act as the chair of the commission. With me tonight on Zoom is Mr. Michael Neustadt, who is a regular member, Mr. Bob Hutteman, who is the commission's secretary. We have Margaret Myers, who is an alternate. And if I said, I think, Dave, there might be some background music or some background noise. So
I'm good. Somebody else, it might be that they're doing digital and then they called in as well. That sound seems to happen.
Oh,
well, what you can do is you can mute your phone if you're on the phone, and if you're on your computer, you can mute at the bottom.
Right. I'm just on my phone, so there isn't any feedback.
Yeah, I can see whoever is 3850. There's some noise occasionally, so. So again, we Margaret Myers, who's an alternate, and Dave Frankel, who is an alternate. So there are 5 of us. I got that right?
2,
so
3, 4, 5.
All
Yep.
of us, everybody will be a voting member this evening. So we'll try and do voice votes. You know, like we always do. If there is an abstention, I'll try and sort of be alert to that, or if we have a different vote, we may ask everybody to say, if we get 4 yeses and 1 no, and I can't catch who the no is, then we'll ask for who the no was or who the yeses were, so we can make sure we get that right. All righty. Also, as our host, we have Alice Dew, who is the Wetlands Enforcement Officer, and we also have our recording Secretary, Allison Kennedy. So that is who is on the line for the commission. So we'll start the meeting, as we always do, with Wetlands Enforcement.
All right. 148 North Lakeshore has not seen any change. It's still in court. 58 Old Grace Bridge Road, I spoke with Ari, and there hasn't been any work in the past couple of months, but they are working with EPA to have soil taken to Massachusetts rather than Alabama, which would make it much faster.
Okay.
83 Candlewood Lake Road, the briefs have been filed beginning of April, and there's no news on a court date yet. And then 24 Old New Milford Road, the application was approved. I tried to contact him today by email, but haven't heard back to see when he's going to start doing the plantings. And I'll get over there too to see if everything's stabilized again.
Yeah, and I owe you a sort of a coordination plan on that one, so I can sign the plan for the commission. So.
Okay.
So I owe you that.
And that's it.
All right. Has anybody, anything from the commissioners about enforcement, anything that you may or may not have seen in your travels? Anything you want to bring to Alice's attention?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Again, we don't have any active site inspection reports. We do not have any old business. We do have one application. We have new business. We've got 45 Obtuse Rocks Road. It's got a new application number, W20-18. I do see, I think, the applicant's agent there. I see Michelle. I see that there is an application. I'll just do a quick summary of it, Michelle, and then you guys can tell us a little bit more.
Okay.
So again, this is to demolish an existing house and the garage and then essentially build a new home and install a new septic system, I think, and the dwelling, and much of the project is outside of the upland review area, but there is an amount that is in the upland review area. They've got the the disturbed wetland area is 0, and the disturbed linear feet of the water course is also 0. So no disturbance, a little bit of a slope. So that is it on the application. And also we have, on the agenda, I think we've got, it looks like, and help me out, Michelle, I think we have the top page of the plan.
There was just one plan.
Okay.
Just
yeah,
one
I think
sheet.
I see like the top page here. So if everybody either wants to look at it, there's no easy, we don't need to,
You want me to? I could share it. It's on my screen. Do you want me to show it?
yeah, why not? Because I'm going to ask you to maybe do a summary and tell us what is going on here, for the things that I missed.
Michelle, I'll make you a co-host.
Okay.
Then you can share it. I have it on my computer as well, but you're doing the talking, so you can do it.
All right.
Add to your repertoire of skills, Michelle. So.
All right.
Already large repertoire, I should make notes. So.
Thank you. All right, so can you see the plan now?
Yes.
Okay.
I can. I actually enjoyed zooming on it. So.
Yeah, so I can move it around. So it shows, this is the whole plan. Oops, went out a little too far. So we are just doing the work for the existing house. And you can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the existing one-story stone house, there's a little portion that is in the upland review area. So when we demolish that, we'll be in the upland review area, which again, it's part of the driveway. And there's also a garage underneath a portion of the proposed house that will be taken down. So that would be in the upland review area, and then the septic system would be in the upland review area. And the total disturbance is 8,400 square feet, which is 0.19 acres. The total site area is 13.765, so it's a very, very minor portion of the site would be, of the upland review area would be disturbed to build the new house.
And I can see the silt fence is...
It's that heavier dash line.
Got a line of disturbance which is even to the far side, right,
yes.
of the silt fence.
Yeah, so the limit of disturbance is in here. So you have this area that will be disturbed, and there's a little section in here that would be disturbed.
Michelle, this is Michael. I had a question last meeting, and you say that the driveway, that you didn't ask for any work on the driveway, that it's already an existing paved driveway, but is it not possible you want to do some improvements? I haven't walked down the driveway, but from the road, it looks like it might, for a new house, you may want to do some work there. I would only suggest you could list it on the, I don't see a problem with it.
He did, when we had the macro burst, he did do, we talked about it during the subdivision, that he did have to do some revisions to the driveway. So I think the driveway is in pretty good shape, and he's not going to have to do any further work on the driveway. The only thing is he's going to do a little turnaround, but that's out of the upland review area.
I understand that. I was just thinking of that section that's in the review area. I would have no problem with your doing it. I just...
Well, I think it, because I show where the house is, so he'll probably do a little work where we're taking down the house, but for the most part, I think that the limits of the driveway are going to stay as they are.
Okay.
They will stay how they are.
That's fine.
So over around the septic system, it looks like there's an incline there. You're going to have to build up there, correct?
Yeah, so I had to do, based on the soil testing, I had to do a little fill. That's why there's some grading in here. I think I did there's about 2 feet of fill that I have to do over. So basically there's an existing wall down here where the 406 runs, and I'm building up from the 406 to, flatten it to get the septic in.
Can you give us, maybe for the next meeting, can you give us a measurement from, where you've got that 406 contour?
I actually could tell you it's about 35 feet to the edge of the wetland.
That's my question, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the next one, maybe you could just drop that in there. That'll be a nice measurement for us. But I assume you got to take trees down for where the septic field is going to be.
There actually isn't as many trees as you think, because that's kind of cleared back there.
Yep.
It's hard to tell, but there's a little access way that went across the wetland, and this is all kind of clear because of the house. So there isn't a lot of trees that'll come down. Very few.
Is he going to want to?
Do you have any idea? Excuse me. Do you have any idea how many trees? You say very few.
I don't.
Just curious. Yeah.
I don't have an exact number, but if I remember correctly, it was kind of in a cleared area. So maybe if it was a handful, I think say that was a lot.
Okay.
Michelle, you think he's going to want to have a deck on here, on the back?
I'd have to ask him.
Might be something like that, maybe just to, put one in for, just for, kind of future use, maybe save him some extra time and energy.
Okay, yeah, I can talk to him about it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're here,
Yeah, and he does.
Although that's the upland review area, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's outside the upland. Yeah. If he does a deck on the side, I think it would still be in the kind of in the area that we show as disturbed. So I don't think there'd really be any additional disturbance for it in the upland review area.
Okay, well, again, if he wants to, like I said, from my standpoint, I wouldn't have any problem if off that lower left.
Yep.
Of the house.
Kind of over on this. Down here.
Like a deck in that area that sort of got into the upland review area. He can change his mind later on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But that will, that may simplify things for him.
Okay.
Just because he doesn't have to build it, just.
Right, just show it on the plan.
Record, right?
Okay.
Well, like I said, I'm going to want to ask Margaret, Michael, Dave. I know you can't see it here, but you have it online. You guys have any comments or questions for Michelle?
No.
No, I'm all set.
This is Margaret. I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I said in general, Margaret. I said I think something like this, from my standpoint, is going to work. We've got a nice, there is some activity in the upland review area, but you're maintaining, a nice margin of buffer for what is there, from the line of disturbance and the silt fence, out to the, out to the wetlands. You've got the, the silt fence. You've confirmed for me, like I said, that buffer there is about 35 feet. If you can drop that in the next, plan, that would be great. I don't have any other questions. I said, I think something like this will work. So.
Okay.
Let me, like I said, so I don't know if Michael or anybody else, if you guys want to comment on that.
No, I'm very comfortable now. My comment was answered.
Yeah, it sounds straightforward. Doesn't seem like there are really any problems with this.
And I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I said most of your activity, anything you might do for, landscaping is outside the, it's outside the upland review area. Like I said, you do have to, so.
Yeah, you're going to do it all by the house, because it's kind of where the driveway is. It drops off down towards the wetland. So everything would be above the upland review area.
Right. So the pitch of the driveway, so there's you're going to build that driveway up a little bit, right? Doesn't it drop 404? There's a little bit of a pitch towards the wetlands, right? You're going to build that driveway up a little bit, or is it okay the way it is?
It's okay the way it is.
Okay. All right.
It's
so-
kind of already, if you walked out there, it's a high up when you walk out there.
Okay.
It's an interesting driveway.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, 424. Yeah, there's a big pitch there.
Yeah, there is.
Sharon, your idea about them putting a deck on, I think that's a pretty good idea without telling them what to do.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, Dave, I said if he wants to put a deck out, and it hits the upland review area for now, I mean, that can be a part of the plan, and if for some, whatever he wants to do in the future, he wouldn't necessarily have to come back.
Right.
We can just include it. If he wants to change it, maybe not put that deck in, maybe he wants to put something else outside of the upland review area, then he doesn't have to come and see us anyways. But it might be something just, again, I don't know exactly how the home is structured. That almost looks like the garage side.
Yeah, because the way the driveway will come in, the garage will be over here, and then the house will be on the upper side.
All right, so, it may not, well, I don't know. I mean, he may want to put a deck back, behind the garage. That's a possibility. I don't really know, but I said if he puts that in, then he's got it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And it does add value to the house. It isn't just throwing money out the window either.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Well, I said, Michelle, I said besides, I said just dropping a measurement in between, like that 406 marker to the wetlands.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else we can ask you to do.
Okay. I did a construction sequence, which you usually ask for. That's down below.
Yep, I saw that.
Silt fence detail, soil stockpile detail. It was kind of straightforward. Didn't really need too much on this.
Yep, nope, it all looks very straightforward, and as far as I'm concerned, right now, I took a look at it, it all looks completely doable for me, so.
Okay. All right.
All right, if there isn't anything else, let me ask for, someone want to make a motion to continue this to our next meeting?
So moved.
All right, I think that was Michael, did I hear a second?
No, I wasn't.
Second.
Okay, I heard Dave on the second, is that right?
And it was not me, somebody else.
No, I was the first one, but it doesn't really matter. It's not.
Okay, no, we got it. So Dave made the motion to continue.
To continue, yep.
Yep. And Michael, will you second
I'll second
that?
it, sure.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimous. Great, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. I hope everyone stays safe.
Yeah, thanks.
You
so
too.
much.
Thank you, take care.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
All right.
All righty, so that, if I got this right, that is our only new business. Correspondence, pesticides and save waters for Oak Grove. I didn't get a chance to read the groundwater survey in Candlewood Lake. I bet that's interesting. But I will. So I think that takes us to the minutes. Now, I'm still trying to get familiar with how Diane does these things. But when I follow that link, I go back to the agenda for Monday the 13th. Am I messing something up?
There's, it'll say agenda, and then next to it, it'll say minutes, just to the right of the word agenda.
Up top.
Ah. Okay. Shoot. Ah, there's a tab on it. Ah, okay. Thank you.
Here, while you're looking, I did have a comment
Sure, go ahead.
on the minutes. The discussion of the trees that had been tagged in Candlewood Shore, the first part of it in the enforcement report discussed trees, etc. And Alice said Scalzo Property Management said they weren't marked for cutting, but she will look into it further. And then later saying the same at the end. But my memory is, Alice, that at some point, Scalzo said that there were trees with red flags that were going to be cut down.
Yes.
That wasn't reflected in the minutes. At the end
Oh,
of the
okay.
minutes.
So maybe we could, under informal discussion, maybe add a sentence to say that, you know, there are some trees that will be cut, but the trees, any tree cutting does require a permit. So maybe
Well,
we
that
just-
says that, but my
Yeah, but
memory is that they confirmed that there definitely was going to be some tree cutting.
So what I'm thinking, Michael, I said on that second sentence
Okay.
there, you know, maybe insert between foot
Sure.
elevation, you know, and she said, insert, you know, like a sentence that said, some trees,
Are marked to
targeted?
possibly be cut?
Well, no,
Yeah.
my memory of what she said was that what Scalzo said was that there would be some trees cut, and we're aware that we need a permit.
All right, so help us then
Right.
with what text do you want to, help us then with the text?
Okay,
If I could just interrupt for 1 second.
sure.
The way it was explained to me by Nina, and Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, but when corrections are noted for minutes now, nothing actually gets retyped in any way. The only way to mark the change is by whatever is stated in this discussion.
Okay,
So in other words, I can record in this meeting's minutes discussion that you noted some trees were going to be marked to be cut, but nothing is actually going to be inserted in last meeting's minutes, if that makes any sense to you.
then what would make sense is that I would make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting with the addition of a note that we were informed that there would be, in the very last paragraph, the addition of the note that there would be trees that were cut, and Scalzo was aware that a permit was needed.
Great, thank you.
That
All
makes
right,
sense
so-
for you, Sharon?
Someone want to second that?
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, Bob seconds that. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor of the motion to accept the minutes with the comments that Michael has added?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I am going to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting.
That's true, you were not, so, thank you, Dave. So
Sure.
that means motion carries 4-0 with one abstention, Mr. Frankel.
Yes. With the past meeting minutes, since they can't be rewritten, this would be for the whole town. Could an addendum be added?
Well, the way it was explained to me by Nina is that this record in these minutes is the correction, and that's the only correction that is noted. So if someone, you know, is looking for the correction, they would have to look into, you know, for all of the minutes, right, Alice?
Yes, because it's a FOIA, it's a Freedom of Information issue.
Okay.
All right, so again, for informal discussion, once I think we get a little bit more familiar with this process here, I think we can add, we will have the opportunity to talk about some riparian buffers and what we might want to do there. And then, Michael, the next one, I think, is the one that you mentioned last week, the PAs and the water supply.
And I tried to do a little more reading, and the most I can find is that there is evidence that this is a problem, can be a huge problem, and nobody quite knows what to do about it yet, other than to work towards passing regulations to prevent any further damage. And then at some point, hopefully, find ways to clean up what you find. But whether we would have any input to the town, whether it can be done on a town level, or if it's something that has to be done on the state level, and we would just send a letter to the state saying we would encourage them to pass regulations to prohibit any further use of PFAS in any manufacturing in the community, or that testing needs to be done. So it's a new area of, well, a new area of being scared.
Unfortunately, I think some of this will have to be put on hold because there aren't going to be the finances to go forth anyway.
That's a good point.
It may be put off years, literally, not weeks or months, but years.
The cleanup certainly could be very expensive. Look what's being done over the many years in our rivers and sounds with the other stuff put out there. But the regulations to prevent further damage are not expensive. It's just a matter of trying to decide what the right way to do it is, what needs to be prohibited. And
people are having trouble paying property taxes, let alone other things. All the property taxes have been delayed. There's just there isn't going to be a lot of money for things like this for quite a while.
Well, for the cleanup, no, I understand. Though, if the cleanup is to be done, it might be required to do a little finger pointing and find the
culprits.
The culprits, and although one of the major culprits, unfortunately, turns out to be fire departments. That this substance was used in fire retarding foam for many years. So when you went out there, when the fire department went out there and sprayed vehicles that were burning, that was one use of it. So the suggestion for testing would be to test around places where fire departments train, where military application was another area, but that's nothing we would have to worry about in Brookfield.
With what you're talking about, wasn't that the issue at Bradley Airport last year when that World War II bomber crashed?
Well, if they used foam to put the fire out, yes.
Yeah, they did, and there was controversy afterwards about it for a few months.
If that department is still using that kind of foam, more and more are getting away from it.
Well, at the time, the airport authority said they didn't have a choice. They had to put the fire out. Otherwise,
absolutely.
And they couldn't. They used what was available, basically. But for weeks and months afterwards, there was a discussion about pollution in that foam. But
and of course,
it's the same thing you're talking about here.
I believe it is. And the other major use of it is in non-stick frying pans and the Teflon kind of stuff, although I don't know if Teflon itself, which is a brand name. And I believe that has since stopped. But the problem becomes there's millions of these old frying pans sitting around in dumps and landfills that may need to be separated out and cleaned up or safely disposed of.
So what about people currently using Teflon pans and pots and so on? Is that dangerous?
From what I understand is they haven't used it for a number of years, but if they have old ones, they shouldn't just toss it out in the trash. There should be a safe place to take it where it can be properly disposed of.
Well, you pots and pans, they can last for years and years and years.
Yeah. No, I agree. My point here now is the research I've done, the reading I've done, gives me, asks more questions than it answers. And whether or not this is the proper forum for getting much done, I don't know. But, they do say starting local is important. And if the state isn't going to do anything, maybe it would behoove our community pass a few regulations.
I think about throwing them away, and that never even occurred to me.
Hmm.
I know I'd thrown one or two of them away without knowing.
Yeah, I think we probably all have.
Of us, yeah.
Huh. All right, well,
Well, usually those things you throw them away, you know, when they just they either somehow wear out or you know they've been used so much that you know you don't feel comfortable using them anymore. But
again, that's probably not something we're going to have a lot to say about, other than perhaps putting a little pressure on the state to say, you know, we really need to do something.
Doesn't Teflon break down at high temperatures, though? Isn't that correct?
What's that?
Doesn't break down. Okay, Teflon breaks down at higher temperatures. It doesn't break down at normal, I think, cooking temperatures. I think my understanding was it always broke down at higher temperatures and not to cook using Teflon at higher temperatures.
Yeah, and again,
that would be logical, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Teflon is a brand, and I don't know if that particular brand has the problem or does recently.
Yeah, I don't know. I've known for quite some time that we used to use it in our laboratories at Yale. We used Teflon for, you know, some of the vacuum chambers, but we ran pretty high currents and high temperatures through it. We did some pretty high-end coatings using graphite rods, pretty high temperatures. And the concern was always to be careful, because if the Teflon broke down, then you got very serious contamination, which we'll be dealing with nuclear particles and stuff. So, yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
Anyway, yeah, it was that concern.
Makes you really wonder why it was put on pots and pans then. You know, because that involves heat. It may not be quite.
Well, it depends on what the definition is. High temperatures are. And that number was never given to me. I was just pretty much told as a warning. Don't use Teflon if you're going to use high temperature. And I know some of our fittings were made of Teflon because all the other good properties it has. So, anyways, I just shared that bit with you.
Well, if you just put PFAS in the water supply in a browser in Google, and you'll get lots of reading. It can be scary.
And we talk about the state, and I agree. There's probably no money at the state level at the moment, but perhaps sometime in the future we can get a grant. There might be a grant.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't think about grants for quite a while. I don't think they're going to be happening.
No, I agree. And that's all. I mean, I don't think there's much more to say other than it's been pointed out, and if there's anything we can do. I think the other issue that you just passed over, riparian buffers, is much more exciting and much more something that can be done on the local level with our wetlands regulations. Not on this call, but at some point.
I've made a note to myself, and I now have my sticky note over here. So it's now on my calendar for my weekend. So I hope to have something for you guys when we meet in May.
Are there initial plans? There's an area by Candlewood Lake that's been under study. Maybe that's also what you were just talking about. But aren't they talking about putting in either water lines or sewage or both? And now it seems it's Candlewood Shores. I'm not on the shores, but I was in that area that was studied. And does anybody know much about that?
Well, I got a report on it from Nelson.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, and it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
talking about it was going to be required, and the homeowners were going to have to pay for it. It might involve some financing and so on.
Yeah, it's the town originally pays for it, and then the residents, over a period of time, basically pay the town back. for the cost
That would
of
be
hooking up
similar
the
to
septic.
commercial. You know, when the water lines were laid on Route 7 or
This would be for
202.
septic.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're just talking about waste at this point.
Yeah.
The other issue is Brookfield took the lead in this study, but there are, 5 towns around Candlewood Lake? And I don't think just Brookfield doing it will save the lake. I think
No.
it has to be all the towns have to get together and agree to something.
You know, probably the biggest polluter in the lake anyway is the city of Danbury, because the most people live there.
Well,
and
that's
we're right next to
very true.
Danbury, so we could be somewhat impacted, but, we're not necessarily responsible for some of the pollution. It just could be coming from other municipalities.
I don't know. I think that chances are that more of the buildings along the lake in Danbury are connected to the sewer, and almost none in Brookfield.
That's true. But people throw things into the lake, and that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that's something a little different. I think here we're talking about migration of even those homes with septic systems that are working are so close to the lake that there is a migration from the septic system over a number of years into the lake. Is that correct, Alice?
That's well, and there are septic system failures that happen from time to time too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those systems are at the end of their lives. So they have to be replaced.
Would it make sense if waste systems were installed, at the same time they put in water? Would that be cost, labor effective, or is it just totally irrelevant?
They're doing septic, they're not doing water.
Would it make any sense to consider water along with septic at the same time?
I have no idea, but you could ask WPCA that question.
In any case, water would be Aquarian, a private company.
And I don't know if they work together.
No, you don't want the two pipes too close together. Water and sewer, obviously, they have to be separated a little bit there.
No, I understand. I understand with the people who maintain the roads that there is a rule that you have to first dig it up, pave it over, and then 2 weeks later dig it up again. I think that's the way they work.
What? You're saying when you lay the lines, basically?
I think he's kidding.
Yes, I will.
I hope so. I hope so. But given the fact that we live in Connecticut, he might not be kidding.
I don't slightly humorously. All right. Anything else?
I have one thing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a development team meeting, and we're going to be discussing the proposed plan for the Huckleberry Hill School. So it's just an informal thing that they ask, what departments are looking for. And I'm assuming that Wetlands will be asking for the usual, possibly a third-party review, just show some low-impact development. Any trees to be removed, construction sequence. Is there anything else?
Soccer field being very low there. Impact on the soccer field somehow?
They're putting the school where the soccer fields are. You mean in the back?
No, the fields that are very, I thought it was going to go in more or less the same footprint as before.
No, the parking is going to go where the school is now, and the school is going behind it where the soccer and football fields are.
That low level?
Yes.
So are they going to keep it low, or are they going to try to... there could be problems anytime it rains or big snow or whatever.
We don't know enough to answer that, right? We don't.
Right. This is just a preliminary, letting them know what you guys might, what you would typically want to see.
I think it's something, again, without knowing what their, what the plan is or what the impact of wetlands is. So as not a specific statement, but for this project, but a general requirement is if there is impact to wetlands and or water courses, we commonly look for alternatives.
I'm wondering if, because this is an educational facility, catching our kids at an early and vulnerable age, that maybe one of the things we could look for, although it's not common, is education about what we do. That clearly, well, from what I saw in the first presentation, there's going to be some impact to the wetlands, so we'll have some say in what they do. Perhaps one of the ways they can mitigate this is to incorporate training in their educational facility about what we do and the importance of wetlands conservation.
Okay, I will mention that.
Good. Well, actually, your suggestion that could apply to all phases of the construction as well, not only wetlands, but it could be very educational, the whole thing.
Well, it would be, but my point is one of the things they might do is incorporate into the curriculum. The education department saying that, yeah, this is something we will do.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I'll mention that to them.
You get my alternative?
Incidentally,
Wait, one second, Dave. Did you get my alternatives, Alice?
Yeah, I have some prudent and feasible alternatives to what they're suggesting.
All right. Sorry, Dave. I had.
No, that's okay.
Back. Now you're back.
Yeah, it's unfortunate right now that we're involved in this school project. Yeah, I'm talking about, once again, finances.
All right. Well, I know they offered for me to join. I have a meeting at that time. I've got a work meeting, so I cannot, I can't miss that, and so I will not be able to join tomorrow, Alice.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? All right. Well, how about a motion to adjourn?
So
motion to adjourn.
All right, Dave.
I'll second that.
Motion. Did I hear Bob on the second?
Correct.
Okay, I heard Bob on the second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimous. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Take care, all.
Thank you. Very nice meeting tonight. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Good night.